right, well, I'm done with Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and now find myself in the Black Hills in South Dakota. I'm gonna spend a couple days out here. I'm also just gonna kind of wander around and check out some of the awesome granite peaks that they have out the Black Hills and see some of the history and nature and see where my journeys take me. Alright, well, something interesting today. Not that most of the stuff I do is not interesting, but something else interesting today. I'm going to be heading to one of the many ghost towns in the Black Hills. So being from eastern Montana, I'm used to seeing a lot of these really old, decaying buildings that the plains are slowly taking over. And these are old homesteads that were set up by people and eventually ended up leaving. And in the Black Hills, there was a great deal of mining in the past. There were a great number of mining towns that appeared, and as the mining stopped, the towns themselves disappeared and just slowly started being taken over by the woods. So I'm on my way to a place called Spokane, South Dakota, which is a full-blown ghost town. So there are lots of different buildings and different stages of decay and long since abandoned. So apparently it's about a mile down this road here, so go check it out and see what kind of interesting stuff we can find. While some European Americans illegally entered the native-owned Black Hills, often to a fatal end throughout the 19th century, it was the discovery of gold in the mid-1870s that erupted into a frenzied rush of people looking to make their fortunes. Though obligated to stop the mining activity and the associated towns that sprung from it, the military turned a blind eye to the settlement, which would lead to war. Mining was central to the takeover of the Black Hills, and when the mining stopped, many of the communities that sprung around it ceased to be. really love seeing old buildings and objects that used to be owned by people that have since kind of started to disappear in the woods. You know, just the process of decay, and as the forest starts to take over, like this old house here. I've found working in the Pacific Northwest, living in the plains, you know, being out in various mountain forests, that the appearance of a lot of these old objects starts to shift and starts to almost take on the appearance of the things around it. The landscape around it just starts to subsume, to use the word, the objects and reclaim it basically. It just starts to appear as part of the forest. And that's really exactly what you see happening here with this building. And it's such a fascinating sight, just super, super interesting. The Black Hills, in their immense majesty, are a geologic marvel, forming the tallest mountains east of the Rockies in the United States. The towering spires of the Black Hills are breathtaking and fill me with a sense of awe every time I hike or drive among them. It's clear that this is a very special place. Many of the rocks in these towers are over 2 billion years old, formed halfway through our planet's existence. Well, after dealing with the mess that was the Needles Highway, or whatever it's called, it was beautiful, but oh my god, it's just like everything that's wrong with tourism and just seeing all these people packed together and trying to navigate two different sides of a one-way tunnel, and some people deciding that they want to drive at 5 miles an hour while other people would drive at actual human speeds. I think that gives away which camp I'm in. But anyway, so basically I decided to visit one of the trails in Custer State Park, which is apparently a relatively little known trail. I think it's like Bear Gulch, something like that. I'll look it up and put it up on the screen over here. But I'm not gonna do like a full-blown trail guide to it, but I'm gonna kind of use this as a kind of a avenue into talking a bit about the Black Hills and some of its history and beauty, and just enjoy yourselves the way you do for these videos. As with many places heavily visited by tourists, to truly grasp and understand the nature of the Black Hills, one must find their way away from the crowds where nature can more easily speak its own language. While the rocky cliffs of the Black Hills are spectacular at any time of day, in the late evening they glow in an almost magical way that took my breath away as I walked among them. So glad that this is how I get to experience the Black Hills. Because to be totally honest, like, there's no way to properly experience a place until you get to areas where there are very, very few people. It's just hard to properly listen to what the land is doing, to really, really perceive what's happening around you when you have all the activity of vehicles going back and forth and various people rushing through, snapping a photo, leaving. It's just, it exists at a different level, and I'm just immensely grateful that I get to go out here, and not just get out here, but take that, you know, to use a word, the energy of the landscape and of the world around me, and help you experience it through your screens, through the way I edit these things. Just immensely grateful. Black Hills is an amazing place. The Black Hills is a complicated place where immense beauty could be enjoyed, but beauty that came at a violent price. Alongside my wanderings, in the next episode I explore the history of Native peoples in the region and why the Black Hills were and are held as a sacred place for multiple tribes. To make sure you see that episode, please subscribe to Wanderlust, and until then, wander in wonder.